Welcome to the Profitable Mini Farm. I'm your host, Diego, D-I-E-G-O. If you're new here, welcome. Each week I talk to market farmer Jodi Roebuck from New Zealand about how he runs his profitable mini farm. We get into the nuts and bolts of production, growing in-field, and things like processing off-field, which takes us into today's episode. In the two previous episodes, we talked about the wash pack setup, the building that houses the whole operation, and the equipment that goes inside of it. Today, we're talking about putting all of that equipment to good use. It's all about the wash pack process. How do you get those vegetables that come from the field clean enough to go to customers? That's what this one's all about. Stay tuned for that coming up. But before we get into that, a word from today's sponsor, Paper Pot Co. Paper Pot Co. is also my company, and our goal at Paper Pot Co. is to help you plant fast so you can live more. We have time and labor-saving tools like the Paper Pot Transplanter and the Jang Seeder to make your job in the field a little bit easier and a little bit faster so you can get done with those tasks and on to something else. Learn more about all the tools that we have to offer at paperpot.co. Now let's jump right into it. It's the wash pack setup with farmer Jodi Roebuck. In a previous episode, we talked about the wash pack setup, all the equipment that's in the wash pack, and now we're going to talk about the actual pack part of wash pack. When it comes to the packing process, can you talk a little bit about how you handle that for different crops?
Sure. So the makeup of our business is currently 80% retail and 20% restaurant. So everything is, ready to go, ready to eat, whether it's root veg, everything's washed. And generally right above we've got a stainless steel bench that we do our packaging on. We've got calibrated scales that go to the half gram up to 3 kilograms, and everything's standardized. So we have a whiteboard above the packing table, and that's where we track our orders. And on the bottom of the whiteboard, we have a little stainless steel slot. It's got marbles inside it, and that's what the restaurant industry use for slotting their orders into to track, as they serve. So we kind of stole that idea from the restaurant industry, screwed that to the bottom of our harvest board, and getting my orders in. We have some standing orders with restaurant, and then especially as the growing season's on, like we might have one restaurant buying 15 items. So to get my orders in, I do that by phone. Sometimes it's text, but if I've got a chef that's buying 15 items, they're likely to miss a crop, like bunched coriander, for example. So I have my list written out and I ring them and I run through that list. And our chefs, kind of the main decisions that go on through packaging and which mixes we're going to do, even though restaurants 20% of our turnover, restaurant have priority. They generally get the highest quality and they get first dibs on everything. So all my chefs understand that if they want a single item salad, which is 80% of our turnover with them, they need their orders in at the very latest before we put our mixes together. So all our restaurant salads are by the half kg. So if it's pea shoots, I might have 3 written up, which means 3 500-gram bags. And as the salads are coming off the drying screen, they're all single items. We'll just grab the tub, package a pea shoots for restaurant, radish micros for restaurant, mizuna for restaurant, and then I put a line through that on the whiteboard, which means that job's done. So if someone else comes into wash and pack to take over, they can see exactly where we're up to, and that'll just go straight back in the chiller. And once our single items are done for restaurant, then we're considering what single items are we putting in to retail and how many of those will I need to be doing. And so I just write a tally of numbers for our different outlets. And the way that I understand how how many retail salads we're going to need to do as a single item. My retail stores photograph my fridge every second morning, and they just text me a photo of the fridge. They don't have to count numbers. If they told me fridge is half full, I've got no idea if that means salad's out, it's just root veg left, but a photo gives me all the information I need. So the couple of main decisions we're making as we come through packaging is, what are the volumes? How many full tubs do we have? And in total, that's going to be the same number once they're mixed. What ratio of mixes are we doing? We have one mix that is pea shoots and radish micros, and then the second mix, leaves and shoots, that's pea shoots, radish micros, Mizuna, lettuce. So single items are finished and packaged, and then we make the call on volumes we're doing for the mix, the leaves and shoots. We've got portable trolleys that come in. We talked about that recently. We set out, we do the mix in clear containers. As soon as that's mixed, we fill the containers up, stand them all on top of each other, back into the chiller, roll out the trolleys, and then we've got free space to set up for packaging.
Are you packing concurrently with washing? Meaning, when somebody's washing lettuce, is it going onto a drying screen and then somebody's packing? Or do you wash everything, it gets dried, it goes into the cooler, and then at the end, packing's like a separate event?
By the time we're ready to do the mix and package everything that's mixed, that's the majority of our salad. We've already taken stuff as it comes across the drying screen and packaged all the single items. That means we know all the single salads are ready to go for restaurant and retail. And then we do the mix, set out, put the mix together, and then all we have to do at the end is package all of our leaves and shoots mix, which is the biggest part of our business year round, and it's also the biggest volumes we're doing. So we've combined all of our salads that are left over, and it's always the same ingredients, but the ratios change every harvest. There might be more green lettuce, less red lettuce. There might be very little pea shoots, more red Mizuna. As long as we've got a nice balance in the mix mainly between colour. If the mix is just green on green, it doesn't look that fancy. So we're trying to balance the red and the green, and the ratios is our flexibility. That's what changes each harvest. So yeah, we've already done single salads packaged as somebody's working on the drying screen. The drying screen is right next to the scales and the bagging table, and we've done all those, and then we just hit packaging the main mix, the leaves and shoots, the biggest, and we still have restaurants ordering leaves and shoots. So we package those 500 gram bags first. We mark that off, and we use a container here called Systema. It's clear, so you can see what's in it, and we use them just in the wash and pack for mixing. And then one Systema tub full of salad is 30 retail salads, which are 150 grams. So I know straight away, even before we do the mix, how many full tubs of salad we have as single items. It's the same volume once they're mixed. So I can look at that and go, okay, we've got eight full tubs of mixed salad, 30 bags in each tub. We're going to have 240 retail salads going today. And then I also know for the supermarket, we barcode the back. So I'll make a call on how many bags I'm doing for the supermarket. We use a printer with it doesn't have ink in it, it has heat, and I'll pre-print roughly the numbers of stickers we need on demand. And our packaging space is tight, but we make it work with wheels and crates. We can have 2 people filling bags, putting the salad in the bags, and then the next person is sealing the bags, and the fourth person is branding them with our labels, putting a barcode on the back if that's going to the supermarket, and then everything's standardized going into our delivery crates, which are open on the top and they have little handles on the side that flip down so the crates can stack inside each other or on top. And then we're standardized too. The 150 gram bag, there's 15 in a crate. The 110 grams bag for the microgreens, there's 30 in a crate. And that's really important that the packaging isn't squashed. It presents well. And also when I go on deliveries, we'll come back to this, that I'm not having to count stuff. I'm just counting numbers of crates. I've got to be really accurate on the stock I put into our retail spaces and get the numbers right. Otherwise, we're out on our invoicing.
Yeah, I love that tip of just standard packing units. Take smaller units, containerize them into bigger units, so you're counting less big numbers. I think that's a smart tip there. In terms of your wash pack, I don't think we hit this in a previous episode, but how many people at a given time are involved in the washing? And then are those same people the ones that do the packing?
By the time we're packing the retail salads, everyone jumps on that. It really makes the workflow fast. But during a typical harvest, one person will be running the bubbler, spin, and dry. And there might be one person floating that is packaging the single item as they come off the drying screen. And they're also, I guess you could call the person that's doing the first bit of packaging the single items, they're kind of floating. They'll be doing jobs like taking the containers that have been emptied and have, unwashed salad in, taking those containers outside, hitting them with the power washer, bringing them back in, drying the tubs on the inside, ready for to support the person that's on the drying screen. As the salad comes off the drying screen, it goes into a clean, dry container. And there could also be another person running the outdoor washroom. They can also be cleaning containers, but they might be working on cleaning root veg, bunching coriander, or still bringing stuff in from the field. So really 2 people running the salad wash and pack until it's time to hit packaging, and then we're just everyone hands on, and that just really speeds up getting everything packaged and ready for deliveries. I might also be floating where I'm getting final orders in. That's in the earlier part of the morning. We need our last restaurant orders by 10 o'clock at the latest. Usually it's the night before. And then I'm also considering, well, do we need to really push this and get me across town before 2 o'clock? Or other photos that came in of our fridges, they're still relatively stocked. I can go the following morning. Maybe it's raining the next morning and I'll take that time to go on deliveries. The delivery time is really determined on the volumes in our fridges. We can't afford to have our fridges empty. Obviously we're not making turnover if they're empty, but we can't have people coming into our retail stores, especially for our product, and have our front of house, our retail the fish shop or the butchery. The last thing we want is our store owners to be getting customers coming in and querying, where's Roebuck Farm? I come in just for their product, and that's my responsibility, not my store owners.
Yeah, I love that tip of them sending you a photo because it removes any error in communication. The photo won't lie. It'll just, here's what we got. You can look at it. Where like you said, if we're low on salad mix, maybe that means we're gone. Maybe that means we have a few left, but it doesn't even account for radishes or whatever in there. So I love that little tip. When you go to pack orders for restaurants and retail, there's 2 ways I could see this being done. One is you pack all salad mix. So you just take all the salad mix you have and okay, all day, meaning all the orders, irregardless of who they go to, you have 80 units of salad mix that needs to be packed. So you pack 80 units. And then you have radishes and you have 50 units all day. And you pack those out. So then at the end, you have a bunch of packed product. And then you go to the orders and you say, okay, order 1, 20 salad mix, 20 radish. Order 2, 20 salad mix, 15 radish. Do you do it that way, or do you do where it's okay, order one, 20 salad mix, 20 radish, you pack those, and then it's the next order, and you're working off the unpacked to fulfill those? Or do you do something totally different that's neither one of those?
If I'm following that right, it's probably neither of those. It's the restaurant orders we're packing to order, and then they all go straight in the chiller. But that's just as soon as they're packaged, it's not going into a crate, say for social kitchen restaurant. It's just get it in the bag, get it labeled, put it all in the chiller, deal with it later. And then everything that's left over, we're not packing to order for our retail stores. We're just packing everything we have. And then because we've got 4 fridges and 4 stores to fill, I have an idea what's going on because of the photo, and also have an idea with what type of sales we have there and the needs of each fridge. So pretty much we're just packing everything, just 15 or 30 in a crate. We know how many we're going to have because we have so many tubs to package of salad. And then once I'm in the truck, the big decisions I'm making are, how much am I going to stock this fridge today? Based on, is the fridge hammered? Is this, like, if it's sunny, the fish shop just gets smashed. Do they close on Saturday? Are they open 7 days? How many customers come through the shop? So pretty much I'm just deciding on delivery how to stock each fridge. And by having 4 outlets, that pretty much works out each delivery by having that optionality between each fridge. I've got fridges stocked, they're full, and I've usually got very little returns, and I come home with no surplus product. We had last 2 weeks have been big harvests, so we harvest twice a week on top of restaurant orders, and not including other crops outside of salad. Last week we did 600 retail salads. We were pretty similar this week. I'm in the South Island this weekend with work, so we did a big harvest. I delivered yesterday, which is Thursday, maxed out our fridges, and today's Friday. Before I get on the aeroplane, I'm going back across town with my perishables as my priority to cram those into the fridges so that before I leave for 2 days, fridges are max full. Our root veg, which are last for weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks, if I can't fit them in, that's fine. I've still got them back in our chiller, and I can top up on Monday when I'm back. So most of the decisions for stocking orders are really made on the road, at the fridge, in the stores.
Is your goal to come back with an empty truck every time?
Yeah, definitely. That's normal. I'd say 80% of the time that's the scenario. If I come back with if I've got too much to fit into the fridges, because the retail week, as we go through the week, they get busier and busier and busier. 2 of our stores are open 7 days, so I have to stock them heavier on the second delivery of the week. 2 weeks ago, I had 2 microgreen bags as returns for the total week, and we just ate them for our lunch. Having the multiple fridges is great for us, rather than having one outlet to be able to balance that between the fridges. Definitely, we don't want to be with the place we don't want to hold perishables is in our walk-in chiller. We want it to be in the retail space.
What do you think motivates a customer to buy product from Roebuck Farm in a store over another product sitting on the shelf?
Freshness. Our salad is pretty much same day harvest and delivery, and that's to our advantage, like supplying the supermarket. And the freshness, we're 10 kilometers away from our outlets. The freshness and the shelf life is the constant feedback we get from people, so they know they can buy our salad and it's good, it's good for them for 10 or 12 days. I think I mentioned last week, the salads that we eat on the farm are the few salads that come back after they've been in our fridges, and if they haven't sold. And that's kind of our feedback loop. If we're eating a salad from day 6 to day 15, sometimes day 20, and it's still mint, we know we're not going to have any issues with clients buying a salad that isn't top quality. So obviously the taste is good, but it's the shelf life that's our feedback we get from people all the time. And this is another thing we hear all the time. We strive to bring as much value to the businesses we work with by just being super nice with them, looking after them, giving their staff our returns. And I was at the supermarket yesterday and a customer came up to me and they said, we come to this supermarket, we've changed supermarkets because you guys are here. And we hear that a lot, and our store owners hear that too. And so that's part of the value that we bring to the businesses we work with. That's our goal, is for people to change where they're shopping because we're there. And the supermarket's a classic example. That customer brought one salad from us, but they were going around doing their full weekly shop in Pak'nSave, our local supermarket, whereas prior they used to be spending that money elsewhere.
Do you manage the shelf yourself? Like you're physically putting the product up on the shelf?
Yep, I do. All our stores, all our fridges are... So we haven't had to buy any fridges. They've been supplied to us. We just branded them. And so, I'm the person that is stocking and rotating. And I bring salad from the last delivery to the front, and I put the new salad at the back. Don't rotate crops like carrots so much. And that really helps with... That's my goal, to have 0 returns each week. And that comes by multiple fridges, but also me being the person that chooses how much am I putting in this fridge. Will it sell? You get to really know the shopping patterns. And especially at the supermarket too, I get asked by customers a lot of the time, are you involved with Roebuck Farm? And I'm like, yeah, I'm it. I grew this and harvested with my team. They ask me questions like, are you a touring rep? Like, are you stocking for Roebuck Farm nationwide? I'm like, no, we're just local. We're just in New Plymouth. So in the supermarket, no, but none of the staff from the produce department touch my fridge. I do everything. They don't have to do nothing but send me a photo every few days. I go through the produce department. I stock it. It's that same thing at the farmer's market, pile high and watch it fly. If the fridge looks like it's been, it's got hammered, it's low, but there's like salads flipped upside down and left. It looks abandoned, like no one's really caring for it. So if I'm across town, I'll pop in and see my fridges. If Tanya, my wife, is shopping in town, or my daughter works at the supermarket picking her up, she'll go check the fridge. And sometimes it's just rearranging the product that's currently there to make it look like you really care. And even if the dates are 3-4 days old, just by rearranging the fridge, keeping the appearance up, it really keeps people shopping.
In terms of the salad mix, this is something you've talked about briefly in a few episodes, but you've gone to this mix model. I think, Curtis and I might have touched on this in an old Urban Farmer episode. I don't know that it's ever came up since. What led you to go from selling straight mixed greens to starting to mix in the microgreens and shoots? Why'd you go that route?
I guess going back years, we went through winter's always tough here. Winter growing is wet and windy, continuous, and sometimes the wind's real strong. So when we created the leaves and shoots mix and started combining the microgreens in there was, I'd say 4 years ago. Maybe it's a bit more. We went into a winter with a third of our area with transplanted lettuce on succession. Lettuce takes a long time to grow in winter with us. And with the Redpath cloches, back then we were using plastic over everything. And even though they're screwed into the ground, they're pretty strong and robust. Once the wind is around 60 miles an hour, we had a big wind event and it was devastating. In 10 minutes, we lost 35 beds of our transplanted lettuce on succession, and we lost it in 10 minutes. The plastic was gone off the farm, and the crops, they're all at different stages. We lost all that transplanted salad, and that's really when we just locked down on the fast crops. We increased our volumes of radish microgreens indoors, our pea shoots outdoors, and instead of waiting it takes 7 weeks to grow a lettuce transplant in winter and 7 weeks to be able to harvest it, we can do direct seeded Mizuna in 45 days in deep winter, and in the greenhouse we can do that in 30 days. So we were forced to rethink how can we get our volumes back on, and so we were just tight for product. That's kind of where I think generally, maybe there's a lot of farmers that in winter they might do a braising mix or something like that, but as soon as the season's back on, they might just be doing cut lettuce. The mix is real popular with people. It's convenient. It's just ready to go. It's got variety and lots of different flavors in there. So we never look back from there. We're year-round salad mix. And I think when it would have been that season as well, when we're super tight on salad in the field and we had definitely demand for it. Because remember, our sales for our fast crops are the same every week of the year. It's obviously different trying to grow them in winter. We used to back into doing a couple of random mixes because we just had nothing to offer after weather events, and we would do something like a one-off mix, and we might call it winter mix, and it's really whatever we had. It might be baby rocket mixed with pea shoots and some radish micros with a bit of baby kale in there. And so rather than using backtracking into the mix because times are tight, we realized way back then that the mix for us gives us optionality and it gives us consistency. And since that, we've had every year we have a weather event that's just devastating, but we're switched from plastic on the row covers on the hoops to insect netting year round because they don't have a wind load, and we just do the mix year round. We won gold medals at the Outstanding Food Producers Awards for both our mixes. So for 3 years we had a gold sticker on there, and the leaves and shoots really has become a business in itself, and people are just mad on it. That's our biggest turnover in terms of number of items is the leaves and shoots, and I'd say it's 4 years we haven't. It's 4 years we've been able to deliver twice a week year round, keeping our fridges full.
In a typical mix, if you average it out year round, what percent of a salad mix is greens?
So when you say greens, you mean field salad like Mizuna or lettuce?
Yes.
Each year there's less and less lettuce. I'm just really into the 6-row seeder for baby leaf drilled. It's just so quick, and the growth rate. We're typically just doing one cut with our baby leaf now because it's such high quality and it just flies through the wash and pack, and then we terminate and replant with something else. So the ratio, it changes every harvest, but I'd say the bulk of it is baby Mizuna, and we're sowing that real high density, 90 grams to 10 square meter bed, or roughly 100 square foot bed. That's 90 grams of seed, cutting it about no bigger than 4 inch, is it 10 centimeters? So everything's baby leaf, it mixes easy. Occasionally when we're tight in the field, we can increase the microgreens volume in there, but generally I'd say it's 50% Mizuna, and then the remainder is lettuce, pea shoots, and micros, and those ratios change every harvest. But the Mizuna is a huge part of our business, or baby mustard, and we're cutting it so small it's got no heat in it.
I'm trying to think of the economics. So, right, like microgreens are more. I'm not talking about field growing microgreens because you grow a lot of pea shoots in the field. But in a greenhouse, microgreens are going to be more expensive per unit than the same unit of product coming out of the field because there's more labor involved in that unit volume of product. So the more non-field micros you put in there,
the higher the cost on the mix, right?
Yes, although we've, I guess the two places we're continually working on innovation, the places is the microgreens, and I'd like to do a whole webinar on microgreen production, and also wash and pack. So we've never put our prices up on anything since in 6 years, but we're producing more product for less labor. And so I think you're dead right, Diego. If we're tight, let's say it's deep winter and we're tight in the field and we've only got one bed of Mizuna to cut, and we're cutting 6 meters of pea shoots in the field, we can double up on the micros. We've set that up. We're using the drop seeder to plant the seed. We're using paper pot trays. We're stacking them up to 30 trays high. We've really worked on the efficiencies in the microgreens, so we can afford to use it as a buffer to ride through the short times by lifting our volumes with the microgreen production in the salad, knowing we're not making as much money as if we sell it as a single item in retail or to restaurant, but the numbers are still good. It's 40 cents of seed to seed a tray, and we'll come back to micros in a webinar. It's 2 minutes work from per tray for one person that's skilled, and with the efficiencies we've designed into this area, it's 2 minutes to make the seed raising mix, fill the tray, seed the tray, water it, and stack it. So just to give a bit of perspective, in winter, our microgreens production doubles by weight the field salad that we're doing. It's pretty significant. And I've got to do a big shout out to Jeremy Mueller from Commonplace Farm. I saw him, he came up with the term microgreens motocross, and we're using the greens harvester freestyle on a little ramp and using the elevation to cut the microgreens. And we're cutting 2 trays before we're emptying. We're doing 2.5 ton of microgreens a year, and every year we're doing that for less and less work. So we've really worked on the efficiencies in there.
If you look at your delivery process of taking stuff to stores, taking stuff to restaurants, one thing you mentioned to me off air was you're trying to make $1,000 an hour on delivery. Can you explain what that works out to be? Like, what does that mean?
So it does always sound good when we talk turnover, or any farm does, but so that means door to door. So the truck's loaded, and the time that it takes to leave the farm, do my deliveries, and get back, I need to be delivering. Well, I am consistently delivering $1,000 of product per hour I'm on the road. So in winter, I'm away 2 deliveries, 2.5 hours in total. That's going to 4 restaurants and 4 retail stores. One of those is a supermarket. So I'm delivering to 8 places, plus my time on the road, and the total turnover value is consistently doing $1,000 an hour. And that, if I know I'm on those numbers, I know that the business is growing, and we're able to reinvest, and I'm able to pay wages, and we're able to keep things rolling. And that it didn't start like that. I had to buy a new delivery van a couple of years ago, and that has tinted windows, air. Before I go on deliveries, and sometimes during the packaging process, I'll be on the packaging line with my team, and I'll also just drop out, and I'll have all of my invoices pre-written for restaurant. That includes the price. And then I'll have all of my dockets pre-written for the retail stores. And so it might say, for example, the fish shop, Egmont Seafoods, the date, and then I've just listed the items I have to take. And then once I hit their store, I'm just logging how many leaves and shoots go in here, how many radish micros go in here, how many carrots, how many roasty bags, how many coriander. And it's just all I need to do at the shop is log the number of items, each different items going in. And if there's any returns, what's coming out, I give them the docket. And back in the van and hit the next store. Usually I have my quickest route around town, just from store to store. But things also change. Like we've got one restaurant that closes at 3:00. They're just morning and lunch. I need to be there by 3. And the supermarket might be hammered. So I'll be like, right, I'm going to bypass and get across to them first. Chefs generally need everything by 4:00 for dinner service. And I just choose, I can change up which shop I'm going to based on, well, maybe I go to a store that sells less items and I just stock them with what they need, knowing the supermarket's hammered and I want to have as much product as I can to stock in there. So I'll hit my other retails first and then go back to the supermarket. And in the truck, everything's got its place. It's got sliding doors on both sides and a rear door. I have a trolley. It's just like a frame with wheels that I stack everything on to go in and out of the stores. And, in summer, one of our restaurants, I'll be having like 5 crates of product going in. Some of the other stores, retail stores, I might be going in with 4 to 5 crates on the trolley. And then the supermarket, generally I can get about 8 crates on there. It's like 2 foot taller than me. I'm going to make a double crate for the supermarket. Sometimes I'm going in twice to the supermarket. So the last 2 harvests this week at the supermarket, I've been stocking about 10 crates of product each time. We've got a double fridge there. And so yeah, everything's got its place. We've got retail, the supermarket. They've got different sides on the truck, and root veg at the bottom, heavy vegetables on the bottom, salad on top. And then the restaurant orders, they're in the back of the truck. And after we've packaged all the retail salad, job's done, we've finished, finally got everything packaged and in crates, we then pull out all of our restaurant orders, which are not yet correlated, and we've got green painter's tape on the dispenser right everywhere through the washroom. We just lay out crates, we tape and name the restaurant on the front of each crate, and based on our harvest order, we put together the restaurant orders so that we know nothing's missing. We haven't forgotten anything and we haven't made a mistake in putting the orders together. Occasionally, like once or twice a year, we catch ourselves out at this time when we're putting together the restaurant orders and we're like, okay, we've done too many leaves and shoots and we didn't bag up enough Mizuna. So we've just got the numbers wrong. At that point, one of our restaurants, they buy all our single items and mixed salad, and they're real flexible with how they use the salads. We can say, right, we're just going to switch out their standing order because they'll be good with that. And so prior to this, I used to just get on the road and deal with it on the road. So I like to feel real fresh when I go on deliveries. I like to be able to, be upbeat with the people I'm working with, keep them engaged, and I need to get back to the farm to work with my team and to get stuff replanted.
What about in terms of other wash pack tips? So getting this product ready for order to go out for delivery, any other tips in just making things go smooth, keeping it efficient? Obviously faster is better when you have labor involved to some degree, but what are your tips in general for just getting through the pack side of wash pack?
The alleyway where the packing table goes behind the walk-in chiller. And at the end of the packing table, we have a door that takes us through to the tool shed. The tool shed, we're always working on making sure that nothing touches the ground. That's the whole wash and pack, actually. Nothing touches the ground. Everything's on the wall and has a place, so it knows where to be returned. So as you come through that door, we have bulk supply for our packaging, and that's everything from bags, labels for the printer, tape for the tape dispenser, and that's the bulk inventory. And then immediately underneath the packing table in sealed containers, we have the immediately supply the inventory. So if we run out of something, we've got it on hand. And then with the trolleys and the crates we use, I call it twin towers, we're packaging into these crates and stacking, moving it over onto a base, onto a trolley on the, and just stacking each crate up as we go. We might do all the barcoded items for the supermarket, and that's a big tower. We push that along. from underneath the packing table, I got more crates on wheels, and we continue. So I've got the crate right at my hip, and I can constantly bring a crate up on top to keep it at a comfortable working height. And we're doing, I'd say, we're able to put together 16 crates of packaged product before, because our packing space is tight, but we make it work with the wheels and going vertical before I need to say to my crew who are still putting salad in bags, excuse me, can I just roll these past? And I'll just roll a tower of salad to them. They put it in the chiller, and then we set back up and we keep going. And just one other little comment, the two people working, or it could be one, but the person, when there's two people working bagging the salad, they stand either side of the tub of salad at just above hip height. And as they start getting low on that tub, the person on the outside drops out. They go straight back in the chiller. They bring up the next tub, and the second person lifts up the empty tub, and they just switch over. So we do a lot of teamwork, making this tight space work by just supporting the worker next to you and their role. If the table starts getting full of bags that are full of salad in the open, one person that's been bagging salad, they'll jump over and help the next person to get them sealed, get them labeled, and get them back off the table to clear that space. So we're not filling bags, coming back and branding them. We are constantly moving product across the table and into the crates to free up that space. And I think, last comment, if I'm doing this all by myself for some reason, rather than putting the salad in the bag, sealing it, branding it, and putting it in the crate, I'll lock down on one job, because you can keep your eye on it a lot. There's too much going on to bag the salad, seal it, label it, stick it in the crate. So I'll fill the bags. Then I'll might have 20 on the table, seal the bags. Then I'll brand them, and then I'll get them in the crate and get another empty crate ready. I just find it easier to do that little repetitive motions rather than try and break it up and do like 5 jobs back to the start again.
There you have it, Jodi Roebuck from Roebuck Farm. If you want to follow along with everything that Jodi's doing, be sure to check him out on Instagram at Roebuck Farm, which I've also linked to below. If you want to follow along with everything that we're doing at Paper Pot Co., you can follow us on Instagram at Paper Pot Co. or visit us at paperpot.co. Thanks for listening to this episode. More next week with Jodi. But until then, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.